All right, hey there, folks. Welcome to yesterday's news for October 10th, 2018. Today's story is it would be funny if it wasn't true. But apparently, New York City is now issuing gender-neutral birth certificates because apparently we can't tell the difference between boys and girls, and a correlation coefficient of 0.99 of gender coefficient or gender expression and biological sex is apparently not enough of a correlation for us to make a determination at birth whether you are in fact a boy or a girl. This is what you get when you play postmodernism out in the real world. When you act that philosophy out in the real world, you get crazy. You get absolute ridiculousness like this, and you get people taking it seriously because it's supposed to be sophisticated, because, I'm sophisticated and I understand that gender is a social construct that is not not determined by biological sex in a strictly deterministic fashion. Okay, but social constructs evolve too, and social constructs, just like biological traits, are subject to evolutionary feedbacks that tend to correlate to the real world. And so the social construct of gender identity is evolved such that it correlates to the specific biological necessities of male and female humans. That's really obvious, and we are a very sexually dimorphic species. It makes sense that males and females would evolve different behavioral patterns. Look at birds. Birds are completely different. Insects, half the time you can't even identify the male and the female as the same species. Why would we think that humans would not exhibit different behavioral patterns, different psychological baselines, different all of the above? Why we are visibly sexually dimorphic. It's not hard to tell, and that again, that feeds back into we have different, because we have different biological constraints. We therefore have different evolutionary psychological feedback mechanisms. So we evolve different psychology. It makes sense, and but if you're a postmodernist, you don't believe in science and you don't believe in evolutionary theory and understanding things in terms of cause and effect and physical reality. So I guess you can pretend to sound sophisticated by saying, it's just a social construct. But social constructs are part of the environment. They're part of reality. They're part of the evolutionary matrix. And just a social construct doesn't mean anything. Social constructs are things, and they're important, and they matter, and they exist for a reason, and they got the way they are for a reason. And so I don't know where to. I guess this is the kind of thing, This is the thing that Owen Benjamin got himself kicked out of Hollywood for, because he said, "Hey, you can't push this transgender ideology on kids. Like, they are kids. They haven't developed their none of that neurology, none of that differentiation has happened yet. Well, some of it has, but it's like we don't even understand the mechanisms. We just know that 99.999% of people develop in the typical pattern, and we don't understand those mechanisms perfectly. So you take a 5-year-old, and every 5-year-old is confused about the meaning of gender roles, and you say, I'm gonna say that you have no gender, and I'm not gonna let you learn how to specialize in your gender role. And if you feel like the other sex for a minute, I'm gonna inject you with hormones, which is gonna do permanent damage to your brain and other parts of you. That's child abuse, and that's unacceptable. So if you know anybody who is playing with this stuff, talk them out of it. Luckily, all the people that I know who are loopy in all this science denial, reality denial, infantile perspective on gender that is the modern, postmodern transgender mania that we are seeing. All those people that I know happen to also be single, surprisingly. Because, yeah, it's not or gay. So I don't really have too much worry about them raising kids with craziness. But then, we get government bureaucrats who buy into this stuff, and they run child services programs, and they start mandating that foster parents allow foster children to get hormones when they're a kid experimenting with the meaning of gender. So that is dangerous. So be aware, be conscious, and this is one of those hills that's worth dying on, because, mutilating children is not okay. And that is what this leads to. And it's not even like, it's not a slippery slope. It's like, wherever we are, we're at the bottom. The slippery slope started way back there. Once you say a kid can be transgender and it's okay to make biological interventions, that's the bottom of the bottom of that slippery slope there, and you are, in fact, in the position of mutilating children to satisfy your philosophical predilections, which are, in fact, insane. There are no such thing as transgender kids. There are normal kids who are confused about gender identity. When I was 3, I claimed to be a 5-year-old girl. That doesn't mean I wasn't a 3-year-old boy, but I was a 3-year-old boy who liked girls and wanted to be 5, and I didn't understand that wanting to be around girls didn't mean I wanted to be one, and I didn't understand that you can't just say you're 5 when you're 3. I was 3. We can't let 3-year-olds make choices like that. And we can't. There is such a thing as crazy, people. If someone is saying something crazy, it is not okay to just go along with it. That is not compassion. That is enabling. That is, you're giving a drug addict drugs. You're not helping by indulging somebody's delusion. Okay, if somebody has a persistent delusion, you help them fight it. You help them understand reality. That's what you do. That's the right thing to do. And gender confusion is a mental illness. It's still in the book. It's not. This is a neurological malfunction. It's not appropriate to just indulge it. Okay, that was ranty. Sorry about the rant. I was originally going to talk about global warming. That probably would have turned into more of a rant. So, hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to stop ranting because I'm probably going to say something stupid if I keep going, if I haven't already. And I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe, etc. And I will see you tomorrow.